Sometimes you just gotta give in and watch a power fantasy unfold. Not many series are so bold with their power fantasy themes, even if they give their so-called ordinary main characters inner demons and blessed bloodlines that manifest at the perfect times. But Solo Leveling, give this E-rank dude with a measly knife enough power to end the world. Why not? How does he earn that power? Well, that's what we're here to recap. Welcome to the Amagi. Before we begin, only 25% of our viewers are subscribed, so if you're a fan of the video, please like and double check if you're subscribed. And with that out of the way, let's get into the video. Quick disclaimer before the video starts, I am probably going to pronounce some of these names wrong. Sorry, I'm doing my best. Try not to flame me too hard in the comments. Thanks. I'm used to it. 3 years ago, a fleet of warships surround a small island. They don't bother firing conventional weapons. The crew knows they would have no effect on the monsters on the island. Instead, it's a fight for the hunters to handle. Hunters from the Jeju Island raiding squad assemble to take down the red ants emerging from the forest. Men and women bearing swords, shields, daggers, and magic bravely face off against gigantic ants, but the low-rank hunters are overwhelmed by the attacking monsters. All hope seems lost until a hooded man leaps into the fray. He heals one of the badly hurt hunters as his two allies take care of the remaining beasts. The three heroes are S-rank hunters, Min Byung-gyu, Yoon-suk, and Baek Yeon-hoo, who step in to save them. During the fight, a giant white ant challenges Yoon-ho, who easily defeats it. Soon after, more white ants join the fray against Yoon-ho and Yoon-suk. Nearby, Choi Jong-in watches this forest battle from a city, launching a fiery assault on a group of advancing ants, then signals his team, Hunters Guild, to advance. 10 years earlier, gates linked to an alternate dimension suddenly opened around the world. Magic beasts poured through. At the same time, new magical abilities capable of taking on the monsters awakened in some humans. Those people became known as hunters. They're ranked according to the powers they contain, from E rank, the lowest, to D, C, B, A, and S rank, the highest. Their powers remain at the level they awakened, never growing any stronger. In a construction site, the infamously known weakest hunter, Sung Jin-woo, arrives to join the other hunters in the raid that soon begins. Despite being the weakest, Jin-woo is not disliked, but seeing him called in for a job means that the raid will be an easygoing one. The other hunters greet him amiably. Sung greets Lee Joo-hee, a healer he's worked with before. She's dismayed to see his injuries from a previous job and reminds him to be careful. He sits down and chats for a brief moment with her, regardless of the risks of continuing work as a hunter due to his lack of hunter abilities. He's not bothered being called the weakest and tells her that he's used to it. Song Chi-yeol, the team leader, soon gathers the rest of the team together as he introduces himself before entering the gate of the dungeon. As the raid gets underway, Sung checks that he has his weapon. It's a low-power knife, all he could afford. Gaining confidence, Sung Jin-woo is the last to enter the portal. Elsewhere, the Korean Hunters Association chairman, Go Gun-hee, discusses the finer points of dungeon raids with his assistant, Woo Jin-chul. Go tells him that the resources found inside, essence stones collected by defeating magical beasts, are in high demand by the current administration. As such, hunters can make a living by selling them. Essence stones can be used to make weapons and gear, and the government is researching ways to use them as sources of clean, safe energy. Back in the dungeon, Jin-woo is overjoyed when he finds his very first essence stone, but his happiness is short-lived as a magical beast attacks him. He's seen struggling against a goblin wielding a machete. He attempts to stab the goblin, only to his shock, it shatters before getting stabbed back in the stomach. Succumbing from his injury on the floor, Park Gi-sul, a team member, takes out the goblin, along with Joo-hee healing him from his stab. The raid team defeats the dungeon boss, a werewolf, and celebrates as they loot, while Jin-woo watches from a distance, recovering from his wounds. Joo-hee, concerned, yells out her worries to him as she heals him. Then Jong-ho discovers a cave entrance to a rare double dungeon and shares the news. The team decides to vote on whether to explore it for more loot. Jin-woo holds the deciding vote on whether to enter the cave, while Joo-hee votes against it. Jin-woo is the sole earner for his family. His dad is missing and his mother's in the hospital. He's helping pay for his sister's education. He needs the money, so he votes to go into the depths of the dungeon. Now in the building of the Hunters Guild, Yoo Jin-ho is seen entering a room upon standing in front of a machine. Meanwhile, in a city, two purse snatchers on a motorcycle attempt to flee after stealing a woman's bag. A striking young woman jumps into the air and effortlessly retrieves the purse and takes out the thief in one graceful move. Bystanders recognize her as the S-rank hunter, Hae-in, who then gives the bag back to its owner. Her actions draw the attention of nearby citizens, prompting them to gather around her. Uncomfortable with the attention, Cha flees using her agility, leaping onto nearby buildings. Back to Jinwoo and his team as they trek through the cave for 40 minutes. Jinwoo apologizes to Joo-hee for his decisive vote to enter the cave, which led to their current predicament. Joo-hee, visibly frustrated, admonishes Jinwoo for repeatedly endangering himself, recalling the difficulty of healing his wounds last time. Overcome with guilt, Jinwoo feels remorse for burdening her with his injuries. Sensing Jinwoo's sadness, she reassures him, suggesting that he should treat her sometime to thank her for her unwavering support. Eventually, they reach the end of the tunnel and encounter a massive door, opening it and venturing into the unknown room beyond. Meanwhile, the chairman addresses the newly awakened individuals, warning them about the dangers of becoming hunters. Gunhee emphasizes that even experienced hunters must remain vigilant. He advises them to always stay cautious and never grow arrogant or careless. He offers a simple but important piece of advice which would serve them above all else. Please, be afraid, as it's crucial for survival. As Jinwoo and his team entered, the giant room inside began to light up with blue flames. Expecting to face magic beasts and rare loot, the team is confused as to what the place appears to be with all the ancient statues and instructions. Joo-hee notifies Jinwoo that she just caught the biggest statue in this room staring at them, with him assuring her that she must be seeing things. Out of the blue, the door loudly shuts itself, making one of the team members leave in a hurry as he tries to push the door. But to their horror, one of the statues guarding the entrance brutally slaughters him with its weapon before getting back into position. Horrified to witness the statue coming to life, the team members are left speechless, leading Jinwoo to turn around and stare at the biggest of all statues that Joo-hee warned him about. Sung thinks about all the other close calls he's had in dungeons, from sustaining horrible wounds to nearly starving to death. After surviving for this long, Jinwoo knew right away what would happen next. Suddenly, the gaze of the giant statue shifted towards him. Reacting just in time, Jinwoo screamed for his comrades to duck as the statue's eye began to unleash an attack. A destructive light beam launches at the hunters, incinerating a few of them to ashes. Opening their eyes, the hunters' horror only further increased. Jinwoo saves Joo-hee's life but quickly realizes that they're in grave danger. If I had one more chance. Paralyzed in fear, Jinwoo's comrades ask each other what to do upon witnessing the traumatizing death of already 2 of their members, before Chi-yul warns them not to move and not to make the statue launch another attack. Jinwoo tries to talk to Joo-hee, who is too traumatized to move by what she just saw. Chi-yul asks Jinwoo how he saw the attack of the statue coming, and he replies that it was by instinct before shockingly noticing that Chi-yul had lost an arm due to the attack. Jinwoo helps him stop bleeding, and Chi-yul says that he estimates the statue to be A rank, if not S rank, due to its ability to insta-kill, comparing it to his past experiences as a hunter. Chi-yul then remarks that the commandments aren't just there for fun and begins listing them. First, thou shalt worship God. Second, thou shalt praise God. Third, thou shalt prove thy faith. Those who do not follow these laws will not leave alive. Jinwoo then realizes God refers to the giant statue. The narrator then refers back to the beginning of the gates and the hunters who raid them, stating that they are some of the strongest in mind and body due to the danger they face every day. At the same time, in school, Jinwoo's sister, Sung Jin-ah, is in class when her friend Han Sung-yi narrowly avoids being late and asks about Jinwoo's role as a hunter. Jin-ah modestly describes him as merely an E rank, often prone to injuries. Quietly, Sung-yi remarks that she'd manage to make even an E rank look good if she became one. In the dungeon, Chi-yul and Jinwoo deliberate over how to tackle the 3 trials presented by the Statue of God. Frustrated by their predicament, another hunter, Ju Jae-hwan, who had recently secured a contract with a prominent guild and believed he had too much to live for to die in the dungeon, attempted to run to the door, claiming speed as his specialty. However, he is instantaneously disintegrated by a beam of light from the giant statue, with only his 2 feet remaining. Despite the escalating fear, Chi-yul and Jinwoo try and maintain their composure over the screaming. Jinwoo decides to test the statue upon being reminded that the first commandment is to worship God. He stands up before backing down nervously, causing the statue's eyes to flick to him, begin to glow, and then stop. Seeing that his thoughts were correct, he yells at the other survivors to kneel to the statue and explains that the statue will only incinerate those who are at or above a certain height. Once everyone bows, the giant statue's expression soon shifts to a sinister grin. Seeing that the statue has changed but isn't moving, Park Byum-shik stands up and is glad to see that the statue remains motionless. Believing it's over, the rest of the party stands up but is shocked to see the statue doing the same as it now begins to walk toward them. Thinking of the second commandment, thou shalt praise God, one of the members states that he's a student of ethnology, and that he has a few extollments for gods, and he begins speaking to the incoming statue with the prayers he knows. The hunter is soon crushed by the feet of the statue as the statue's smile widens, signifying that those prayers weren't right for this god. Paralyzed in fear, another member of the party is too traumatized, leaving her as another victim to the statue. As they all run, Park Byung-sik thinks of his wife and son as he runs to a statue holding a sword, exclaiming that he thinks the safest place is the walls. Kim Sang-sik tries to warn him that the statue behind him is about to attack, but is too late to react as Byung-sik is brutally chopped in half by the statue. Jinwoo soon figures out that the meaning of praise relates to hymns. However, the music has to come from the statue, so he orders the survivors to run to the statues holding instruments instead of weapons. Chi-yul confirms his suspicions as he gets to a statue holding a trumpet and it begins playing. Sang-sik also gets to one and rests and breaks down in tears a bit in front of the statue with a violin as it starts to play. Jinwoo drags Joo-hee to a statue of a drummer and quickly realizes that the statues will not be activated if two people are standing nearby, so he leaves Joo-hee to the statue and looks for another holding instruments. However, Jinwoo's low speed leads him to be nearly crushed by the god's statue foot and accidentally rolls to a statue that holds a shield. The statue uses its weapon by dropping on him. Jinwoo is then seen crawling to a statue that appears to be singing right beside him and manages to activate it to sing, causing the god statue to stop pursuing him and get back on his throne and revert back to its original expression. As Joo-hee reunites with Jinwoo, she realizes he has lost a leg and quickly resorts to healing him despite her lack of mana. After the rest of them catch up, Sang-sik reminds Chi-yul that he holds responsibility for the life of their dead comrades, which he promptly and depressingly agrees to, despite the other party members' protests. Then there's a rumbling in the chamber and they all turn to see that the giant statue made a stone cylinder appear at the center of the place. Jinwoo explains that it's an altar which in ancient times was used for sacrifices. Sang-sik then remarks that Chi-yul should use this time to take responsibility for the fallen. Jinwoo also thinks during this time that it was a group decision, so no blame should fall on any one person, which he easily agrees to do and walks to the center, activating a flame. This is puzzling for a moment before Jinwoo asks two of the other survivors to help him walk to the altar, activating 3 more flames in the circle. Back to Jin-ah, she is seen visiting her unconscious mother and informing her about her results at school. Back at the dungeon, Jinwoo asks everyone to meet on the altar, the survivors shocked to see a circle of blue flames arising around the original 6 flames, and the dungeon doors open once Sang-sik and Joo-hee enter the circle. At this point, all statues begin moving toward the still frightened group. Jinwoo quickly figures out that if one of them was also looking at a statue, it couldn't move, remarking it was like the game they played as kids. He also figures out that the blue flames were a timer that started once everyone had entered after seeing 2 go out, and relays this information to the group. Despite Jinwoo's instruction for them not to leave the circle and to keep their eyes open, seeing that the door open is a trap, the 2 members who were helping Jinwoo stand left in fear. He then shouts that no one else can leave because it would leave a blind spot. This leaves Sang-sik to question if they did make it, then what if the doors shut anyway? He then remarks that he's sorry and breaks into tears, stating he has a family waiting for him. Now with only Joo-hee, Chi-yul, and Jinwoo left, Chi-yul attempts to stay behind, but Joo-hee collapses and while in shock, states that her legs are not moving and finds out she's used too much of her magic. Jinwoo tells Chi-yul to take Joo-hee out because he can't walk and hands the essence stone that he got earlier to Joo-hee, telling her to buy food as he previously promised to take her out to eat, causing Joo-hee to ask him in tears how he can still be joking before getting neck chopped by Chi-yul. Chi-yul then apologizes that as he would have allowed them more time for goodbyes, but sadly he was out, and then picks up Joo-hee. As Chi-yul leaves while carrying Joo-hee unconscious, a desperate Jinwoo grabs the sword that Sang-sik left behind and speaks in his thoughts about his unfortunate desire to become stronger like others. One of the statues, now close enough, launches his weapon at Jinwoo but misses. Jinwoo is soon mutilated by the statues as his screams echo in the dungeon. Jinwoo leans against the altar and attempts to scream something but is stabbed by a statue's spear before getting lifted into the air and thrown onto the altar. Surrounded by his own blood that spread out over the altar, he sees in silent horror as one of the statues raises its sword and lands it on Jinwoo. A blue flame goes out and an interface appears in Jinwoo's mind, asking him to either accept or decline to become a player, stating his heart would stop in 0.02 seconds if he declined, with Jinwoo accepting. It's like a game. Following his traumatizing experience in the double dungeon, Jinwoo unexpectedly wakes up in a hospital. To his surprise, his body's recovered, including his left leg that's now healed and intact, believing that his experience in the dungeon was just a dream. He's visited by Woo Jin-chul and Kang Tae-shik, inspectors from the Korean Hunters Association, who reveal that he's been unconscious for 3 days. Jin-chul tells him that he and his comrades found him collapsed on the floor, with no signs of the statues the other survivors depicted. He then interrogates Jinwoo if he perhaps received a second awakening, which could potentially elevate his class rank from E rank to A or even S rank. They prompt him to test his mana by placing his hand on a mana meter presented by Tae-shik. Excited to see the result, he asks the 2 men what rank he is now if he's been reawakened. Jin-chul apologizes as they may have made a mistake upon seeing that the machine indicates his score as 10. Having gained his hope for nothing, he questions why they did not question the message given by the system that Jinwoo appears to be able to see as the officials walked out. Taishik notes as they leave that even E ranks typically get higher than 70. He's basically just a civilian. Jinwoo has a flashback of the events where he received this system and how his heart would have stopped if he did not accept the Courage of the Weak quest. Sung Jin-ah, Jinwoo's sister, rushes in, overwhelmed with concern, urging him to be more cautious and expressing how anxious she's been about his well-being. She even goes as far as to threaten quitting school to work, allowing Jinwoo to retire from hunting. Amid her reprimands, Jinwoo reflects on his willingness to leave her behind during his self-sacrifice in the double dungeon. Feeling remorseful, he subtly tries to determine if she can see the system message floating before him. Once he realizes the message is visible only to him, he curiously asks how one might address unread notifications, comparing it to a video game. Jin-ah, initially confused by his query, suggests checking his inbox before leaving to meet her friend, Han Sung-yi, who awaits outside. Alone, Jinwoo delves into the cryptic messages found from the system. The interface, bathed in a futuristic blue hue, displays two notifications, one stating the system's role in aiding player development and another warning that failure to comply may result in a penalty. A further message declares that rewards have been delivered, leaving Jinwoo perplexed about their implications. He then discovers a daily quest titled Strength Training has arrived, which requires him to perform an arduous series of exercises: 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 squats, and a 10-kilometer run, all tracked meticulously by the system. Feeling uncertain and suspecting it to be a figment of his imagination, he brushes off the quest and lays back down to rest and recover. Meanwhile, Jinchul and Taishik are on their way back to the association in their vehicle. Jinchul is on the phone with Go Gun-hee, reporting a potential error in the assessment of Jinwoo's supposed reawakening. Gun-hee remarks on their fortune in avoiding a dungeon break from the incident, but acknowledges the lingering mysteries it presents. Concluding the conversation, they agree to classify the incident as a special case within the association's database for further evaluation. At the Hunters Guild building, Choi Jong-in assigns Cha Hae-in to participate in the next B-rank raid. Hae-in, unconfident in her leadership skills, is assured by Jong-in that she has what it takes for the role. He clarifies, however, that the mission serves primarily as an assessment for new recruits, suggesting that Hae-in's mere presence will be beneficial for their learning experience. Choi reflects on the guild's status, acknowledging that while they are among the top 5 in Korea, they lack the same level of power on an international stage. He emphasizes the need for collective effort within the guild to bridge this gap in strength. Elsewhere, civilians find their evening disrupted by the sudden emergence of a gate in the midst of a road. Annoyed by the inconvenience, they express their frustration about the delay, expecting hunters to have already arrived and taken care of the situation. In episode 4, this gate becomes a dungeon break. Meanwhile, Jinwoo is sleeping in his room peacefully at the hospital, oblivious to the ticking clock of the daily quest he dismissed as a farce. He's jolted awake by the rumbling that he believes to be an earthquake before finding himself in a vast sunless desert. A new message tells him to survive for the next 4 hours as he encounters an enormous centipede that begins to pursue him. Back at Jinwoo's room, while Jinwoo navigates this perilous environment, 2 nurses in his hospital room discover his absence and initiate a search. For a grueling 4 hours in the desert, Jinwoo barely survives his chase from the centipedes and is found exhausted by the nurses at the hospital. The next day, Jinwoo sports himself in a tracksuit as he informs his sister that he will be heading out. Lee Joo-hee, who is still greatly affected by the experience in the double dungeon, receives a phone call that asks her to participate in a raid, knowing what she has gone through, something that she naturally declines. She is also told that Jinwoo has woken up, leading her to head to the hospital where she finds him doing jogging outside as 2 nurses watch. Jinwoo sits down as he completes more of his quests and begins to understand the functions and rewards he receives. Back inside his room, Jinwoo this time receives a special reward that grants him a key that leads him to the Hapjeong subway station for an instance dungeon. A news reporter presenting today's gate report announces that the Hunters Guild will be handling the dungeon that emerged on the road. Meanwhile, Jinwoo is seen visiting his comatose mother, triggering memories of when he first found out she had fallen victim to the eternal sleep disease. Jinwoo continues his workout routines in the following days, his early days working in construction and the moment he became awakened, including the time he was qualified to become a hunter to earn money to support her to pay the bills for her hospital time. He recalls a time when he was rescued and then chastised by fellow hunters who would tell him to stay in the corner while they cleared the dungeon, dismissing his right to a share of the rewards due to his lack of strength, for which he would sincerely apologize. With his new ability points, he devotes them all to strength. After gaining confidence and determination, Jinwoo decides the time has come to use the mysterious key he acquired. With a mix of anticipation and hesitation, he inserts the key into a door within a subway, which activates the dungeon's entrance. However, upon entering, he quickly realizes that there is no way back. He's now trapped in a dimension separate from the real world. As he explores the dungeon that's an abandoned hallway, he soon confronts a couple of goblins. Frozen in fear and with no healer to rely on, Jinwoo faces the grim reality of his perilous situation. As he rests a bit, a steel-fanged Raikan emerges from behind. Jinwoo scrambles for a plan as the wolf approaches at an alarming speed. "I gotta get stronger." In despair of facing the wolf magic beast that appeared abruptly after having just defeated a bunch of goblins with his dagger now broken, Jinwoo discovers that he has gained impressive agility that allowed him to dodge the steel-fanged wolf. He takes the courage to fight back, but to more of his surprise, he's now capable of sending a powerful blow to the magic beast, sending it flying against the wall. However, Jinwoo knows that he will not be able to take down the animal barehanded. He tries to flee as the beast chases him and thinks of a weapon to use. He discovers that he has access to his inventory provided by the system, allowing him to take out the sword that he got at the double dungeon that was left by Kim Sang-shik to kill the wolf. Two more steel-fanged wolves appear. Jinwoo tries to swing the sword at one of them but is stopped by the beast's jaw. He inputs more force, dispatching the wolf. The second wolf, hesitating to attack, flees. Now alone again, Jinwoo checks for his stats and acquires items instead of magic gems, which he uses to sell to obtain currency in the program. Now thinking how to defeat the boss of this dungeon, Jinwoo spots countless more steel-fanged Raikans that emerged out of the dark. Determined, Jinwoo rushes to dispatch more of the wolves and comes out victorious. He checks his inventory and grabs one of the items he just acquired, a teleportation stone, before walking down into the hallway of the dungeon. Outside, Lee Joo-hee picks up a call from the Hunters Association notifying her that the gate had a dungeon break. She feels guilty about rejecting their request and agrees to participate as she listens to the person on the phone saying that they're lacking healers. Back in the Instance dungeon, Jinwoo realizes he's grown stronger, now understanding that the colors of the magic beast's titles reflect their strength relative to his own. White for low, orange for similar level, and red for a higher level than him. Despite his doubts about facing the dungeon's boss, he bravely descends the stairs he encounters. Initially greeted by silence in an expansive sewer, he soon detects water waves rushing toward him, signaling an imminent threat before being slammed against the wall. Recovering, he faces the dungeon boss, the snake magical beast known as Blue Venom-Fanged Kasaka. Taking a brief moment to examine the appearance of the enemy, he tries to strike a blow with his blade with no result of damage. Jinwoo is sent into a body of water nearby by the snake's tail, where he barely dodges its head. Emerging to the surface, he barely dodges a train that is thrown onto him. Standing up to proceed with the battle, a flashback appears of Jinwoo's conversation with Song Chi-yeol, telling him that he's been nicknamed the weakest hunter, and he encourages him to work harder to prove that wrong. Kasaka relentlessly dominates the battle, propelling Jinwoo through a wall with its formidable strength. Despite multiple attempts to penetrate the snake's scales with his broken sword, Jinwoo ultimately abandons the weapon, opting instead to leverage the enhanced strength from his heightened stats. With his own blood streaming down his face, he grapples with the neck of the snake. He intensifies his grip, seizing the snake's scale armor as the creature thrashes wildly. Through sheer force, Jinwoo eventually manages to exert enough pressure to kill the beast. He acquires the monster's Venom Fang, a dagger made from the boss's fangs. The snake's corpse, along with the dungeon, disappears, reverting the instant dungeon back into the Hapjeong subway station. As he takes the stairs to exit, he's spotted by a soldier who scolds him for being there before realizing that he's a hunter and guides him out of the sight. As he follows the soldier, he asks him if magic beasts have got out after a dungeon break. The man replies that most of them were killed, with a giant one left, which is something that Jinwoo could feel and detect its location as a result of his enhanced senses granted by the system. The massive blue stone golem is being fought by a group of hastily assembled E and D rank hunters, struggling to even breach its defenses. Behind a military barricade, civilians, including Jinwoo, watch the scene unfold and take pictures. The onlookers appear to almost taunt the hunters, displaying a mix of annoyance and disdain towards the unfolding dungeon break. Jinwoo quickly realizes the hunters are outmatched by the beast and notices Joo-hee among them, struggling with her healing magic due to her trauma from the double dungeon. Recognizing the boss as merely D rank, lower than the C rank he recently defeated, Jinwoo decides to intervene. He readies to throw the broken sword from King Sang-shik that he wielded against the previous boss. As the hunters teeter on the brink of defeat, Jinwoo's sword pierces the golem's eye and defenses, turning the tide and enabling the hunters to vanquish the monster. The tanker among the hunters is puzzled by the sudden breach in the golem's defenses, given that their previous attacks had been futile. Spotting a broken sword amidst the debris, he inquires of a nearby soldier about who launched the sword that struck the golem. The soldier responds that it was the work of an unidentified hunter from the back who had since disappeared. Astonished by the immense power behind the act, the tanker is left speechless, wondering if it was a highly ranked hunter. Meanwhile, Jinwoo, having already departed from the scene, muses that the golem might have been weakened before his sword throw. Joo-hee catches a glimpse of him in an alley and wonders if he was the one responsible. A pretty good deal. The nurses at the hospital couldn't resist gossiping about their patient Jinwoo and his remarkable physique, a result of his dedicated strength training provided by the system. Jinwoo's transformed appearance drew admiration from the nurses, evident when Nurse Choi Yura stumbled upon him post-workout and couldn't help but blush at the sight of his muscles. With a mix of nervousness and boldness, she hastily informed him of his discharge, seizing the opportunity to request his phone number. Oblivious to the underlying intentions, Jinwoo innocently complied, assuming it was part of the checkup procedure. Meanwhile, Baek Yoonho, an S-rank hunter, appears on a morning news show where he chats with the host. The host mentions the rarity of S-rank hunters, highlighting that there are only 7 of them before shifting the conversation to Baek's life outside of the dungeon. Baek discusses his daily training routine, which he maintains to keep his skills sharp, revealing that it's a habit he adopted during his days as a firefighter. At Jinwoo's house, his sister Jin-ah watches Baek's interview on TV, noticing the time as it grows late for school. Jin-ah calls for her brother as she prepares to leave for school, while Jinwoo, still with bedhead, yawns and greets her. Jin-ah is surprised by his new look and asks if he's been working out lately. Observing the results of his training, she notes that he even seems taller than before. Grinning, she puts on her shoes about to leave for school as Jinwoo tells her to take the umbrella, displaying his protective nature. Despite her refusal, he insists anyway. Jinwoo takes a moment to review his daily training quests, pondering whether he'll eventually resemble a bodybuilder. Having reached level 18, he allocates his stat points, focusing on strength, agility, and perception after defeating the dungeon boss. However, his contemplation is interrupted by a phone call from his landlord, reminding him of overdue rent. Though the landlord offers to extend the deadline, Jinwoo declines, determined not to inconvenience anyone. Resolving to settle the bill immediately, he realizes he needs to find raid work to earn enough money. This prompts Jinwoo to increase his stats before delving into online searches for potential raid opportunities. While Jinwoo is now more than capable of taking on the magic beasts in dungeons that would easily make the rent, technically he's still an E-rank hunter. He's wary of getting too much attention if he joins raids and higher ranking gates. He wants to learn more about what's happening to him before getting that kind of scrutiny. One job listing catches his eye. Jinwoo takes his daily quest run to the raid group's meeting spot at the gate in a construction site. He meets raid leader Hwang Dong-suk. Jinwoo's reputation as the weakest hunter precedes him, and Hwang shushes the other hunters as they start to laugh about it. Jinwoo isn't bothered, but wants to make sure that he can join as an E-rank. The leader assures him that he's just there to fill out their hunter quota so they can enter a C-rank dungeon. They'll do all the fighting. Jinwoo notices there's no healer, which is odd, but signs a release form and officially joins the raid. As the party walks to the gate, the youngest member of the raid introduces himself. 21-year-old Yoo Jinho is a chatty D-rank hunter wearing a brand new set of expensive armor. The gate looms large over the group, but Jinwoo tells Jinho not to worry. It's the level of magic that it emits that determines the rank it's assigned, not the size. They enter the dungeon and notice the lack of magic beasts and glowstones, making it completely dark inside. Jinwoo is reminded of Kartanon Temple. The group comes to a crossroad in the tunnels and Jinwoo feels the presence of beasts. He realizes they're insect types and senses their attack coming from above. Just as he warns the group, a swarm of ant-like monsters attacks. The hunters are well coordinated, notes Jinwoo, and Jinho holds his own thanks to his pricey armor, but something feels off. Elsewhere, the highest rank hunters train. S-rank hunter Baek smashes through stone with his bare hands, causing the building to shake. Jinho keeps up a friendly conversation with Jinwoo as the hunters continue to explore the dungeon. It's huge, but mostly empty of monsters. As they come upon the boss chamber, they find it filled with glittering monostones and a sleeping giant spider. The leader, Hwang, thinks of showing up his little brother with this haul. Jinho, looking up for Jinwoo, points out that per the contract, he's entitled to split this haul as well. Hwang gamely agrees, but mentions they'll have to take care of the dungeon boss first. He tells Jinho and Jinwoo to stay put while it sleeps as the rest of the group goes out to get their excavation gear. Then the group springs their trap. The hunters seal the chamber with an explosion, trapping Jinho and Jinwoo inside with the boss. They'll serve as bait for the spider, probably putting it to sleep with a full stomach so the group can take the monocrystals for themselves. Jinwoo tells Jinho to stand back as he'll take on the boss himself. The real hunt begins. Hwang Dong-suk and his team of lizards leave the dungeon's gate, planning to sneak back through the upper side tunnels after the formidable giant arachnid was handled Jinwoo and Jinho. They look down on Jinwoo, known as the weakest hunter, and Jinho, who has no raid experience. However, they eye Jinho's expensive gear, anticipating the valuable loot they could collect from him after the confrontation. Their conversation reveals a selfish motive: to loot about 1 billion won's worth of monocrystals and avoid battling the arachnid unless necessary, carelessly risking a dungeon break. Outside the gate, Dong-suk cynically researches Jinho's father, Yoo Myung-han, plotting to feign sympathy at Jinho's funeral should he perish. Dong-suk and Kyu-hwan admit to each other that they couldn't defeat the arachnid alone. Mocking the perilous fate they've left Jinwoo and Jinho in. In the C-rank dungeon boss's lair, with a very angry spider looming, Jinho suggests that they find an exit instead of fighting, considering one needs to be at least B rank to solo a C-rank boss. Yet, Jinwoo, undeterred by the danger that surpasses that of Kasaka and the stone golem he defeated before, refuses to retreat. With a defiant smirk, Jinwoo surges forward to engage the spider, beginning his assault to Jinho's astonishment. Despite his relentless efforts, Jinwoo's dagger, Kasaka's venom fang, fails to penetrate the spider's tough exoskeleton. He doesn't give up, striking repeatedly and nimbly, avoiding the powerful blows from the arachnid's legs, yet his attacks make no progress. Witnessing the speed and skill of Jinwoo, Jinho is rooted to the spot in shock, unable to fathom that Jinwoo could merely be E rank. The thought crosses his mind that Jinwoo may have deliberately falsified his rank. He knows of false rankers, rare hunters who can manipulate their mana readings because they enjoy to kill, which now instills a new sense of fear in him about Jinwoo. Overwhelmed by the situation, Jinho collapses to his knees, his thoughts turning to his father and questioning his own presence in this perilous place. Jinwoo is quickly getting fatigued by using his speed and agility for relentless attacks. He can't find a weak spot. Suddenly he runs out of stamina and the magic beast lands a hit. Just before it makes the killing blow, Jinwoo accepts the full recovery reward granted by completing his dailies. Re-energized, he leaps in the air and pierces the spider in its eye. The weapon's paralysis and drain effects do the rest, and Jinwoo gains a few levels when the dungeon boss falls. Jinho plasters a fake smile on his face and calls Jinwoo boss as he offers him a bottle of water. Jinwoo doesn't understand why he's acting so strangely. The raid party appears in the tunnels above them, surprised to see them both alive. Elsewhere, Chairman Go, the leader of the Hunters Guild, is tired after a day of meetings. His subordinate, Jinchul, suggests training together for a change of pace. Go easily blocks Jinchul's attacks before landing a punch that sends the younger man flying. He thanks Jinchul and says that their sparring match was just what he needed. Go also compliments him on keeping up his training, as it can make all the difference in a dangerous dungeon. Back in the boss lair, the treacherous lizards return. They mysteriously believe that Jinho must have defeated the spider using his expensive gear. Dong-suk then presents Jinho with a sinister ultimatum: kill Jinwoo to save his own life. However, Jinho refuses to betray Jinwoo. In response, Dong-suk commands his group to eliminate the weaker hunter first. At this moment, a system message appears, charging Jinwoo with the task of slaying the 6 murderous hunters. Amidst this tense situation, the mage Kyuhwan seizes the opportunity to launch a magic attack on Jinwoo while he's distracted, launching him into a dungeon wall. Park Hee-jin of the White Tiger Guild meets up with 2 friends from the Hunters Guild back in the city for lunch. Hee-jin asks how their A-rank dungeon training with the famed S-rank hunter Cha Hae-in went. They tell her it went fast. While they struggled, Cha slew an A-rank beast easily. The trio chats as they sip their tea. Gina comments that they're lucky to be in reputable guilds, as some dungeon strike teams have suspicious fatality rates. Back in the dungeon, Jinwoo lies in the rubble from Cho Kyo-won's attack and thinks about how their world encourages survival of the strongest. The system is telling him to kill other humans or he'll die himself. Why does it want to keep him alive? He pulls himself up to stand, deciding that if the system wants to use him, he'll use it in return. Juntae, a traitorous D-rank hunter, confidently approaches Jinwoo, who slices off his head before Juntae finishes his sentence. Jinwoo recognizes that he's now a murderer even if he's just obeying the system, but can't back down. He kills the others, leaving just the C-rank party leader Dong-suk. Jinwoo easily dodges his attack and takes him down with one hand. He's been leveling up the entire time. The desperate hunter pleads for mercy, but Jinwoo emotionlessly replies that Dong-suk attempted to kill him 3 times. Jinwoo removes his head and the dungeon begins to close. Jinho and Jinwoo make it safely outside. A representative from the Hunters Guild is surprised that the D-rank and E-rank hunters were the only survivors, but assumes it's because of Jinho's high-quality equipment. As rain begins to fall from the evening sky, Jinwoo is glad he gave his sister an umbrella this morning. Let's see how far I can go. An agent of the Korean Hunters Association reports to Woo Jinchul about the outcome inside the Insects dungeon. A strike team of 8 suffered 6 casualties, with the sole survivors being a D-rank and an E-rank hunter who unexpectedly cleared the dungeon. The agent speculates that Yoo Jinho may have survived due to his expensive equipment, but Woo is initially confused about the significance of the report. His attention sharpens when it's revealed that the other survivor was Sung Jinwoo, the same hunter who survived the double dungeon and was previously investigated for a reawakening. Adding to the gravity of the situation, it's revealed that one of the deceased was the infamous S-rank hunter Hwang Dong-su's older brother, Hwang Dong-suk. At their apartment, Sung Jin-ah is excited to see her brother Jinwoo returning home with some fried chicken, a treat for special occasions, and he tells her that he'll be able to cover their mother's hospital bills and rent. As they relax in the living room, Jin-ah asks Jinwoo how the raid went the other day. Jinwoo remains silent, reflecting on how easily he took down the hunters, a stark contrast to his former self, and how he would do it again if put in a similar situation. During this tense moment, Jinna asks if everything is alright, and Jinwoo reassures her. While drinking alcohol, Jinwoo is notified by the system that he's being detoxified from the effects of the beer, prompting him to leave Jinna with the rest of the food he brought. In his room, Jinwoo examines the abilities he's gained, including an unchecked reward, Kandiyaru's Blessing, which he received when he first became a player after surviving the double dungeon. This helps him finally understand how he was able to regrow all of his limbs. Later that night, Jinwoo is awakened by his sister, who informs that Yu Jinho is on the phone. Jinna notices all the empty beer cans on his desk, but Jinwoo reassures her that he's fine as he leaves to meet Jinho. At Cafe Penne, Jinho once again expresses his gratitude to Jinwoo for saving his life from Hwang Dong-suk and his lizards. Despite Jinho's request to recruit him for a strike team, Jinwoo initially declines, stating he does not have time to spend humoring some trust fund kid. However, Jinho persists and explains his ambition to become a guildmaster, which requires participating in 20 raids, with the last one being his first. As the son of the Yujin construction owner, Jinho informs Jinwoo that his father plans to establish a guild with an S-rank hunter as the leader and his brother, Yu Jin-sung, as second in command. He also mentions that the only S-rank hunter not currently affiliated with a guild, Min Byung-gyu, has retired. Jinho tries to convince Jinwoo by offering him a form to join, emphasizing the potential to grow stronger and the minimum expectation of 30 billion. Considering his unique ability to level up and the implications of collaborating with someone else, Jinwoo declines once more. In a desperate attempt, Jinho implies that if Jinwoo declines, he will reveal his secret, but if he accepts, he'll take it to his grave. Jinwoo responds with a death stare and leaves without a word, unmoved by the plea and leaving Jinho distraught. Across the world in America, Laura reports to Hwang Dong-soo about the two survivors from the insect dungeons and confirms the death of his older brother. Believing his brother was murdered, Dong-soo crushes his phone in anger. He inquires about the consequences of committing murder abroad, startling Laura, who explains that he would either face extradition or be sent home for prosecution, with a possibility to negotiate a reduced sentence. Unable to alter his schedule due to immediate obligations to the Scavenger Guild, they plan for action after his commitments. As Dong-soo views Jinho and Jinwoo's profiles, he crushes the notepad in his hand, resolving to avenge his brother in the future. At a park, Jinwoo and Jinna warm up before going jogging, and he teases her about eating a lot of fried chicken. As they jog through the park, Jinwoo asks his sister what she would do with 30 billion in cash. Jinna, struggling to answer, says she would save it for college and pay for their mother's hospital bills. Jinwoo agrees and then picks up the pace, playfully telling her not to try to catch him. After a while, Jinwoo stops to check his progress on his daily quest and discovers that it's already completed. An exhausted Jinna eventually catches up to him, but her brother decides to continue his training. He finds it odd that the number for running is still increasing despite having already fulfilled his requirement. Jinwoo completes double the daily requirements and the system messages displays a secret quest. The reward is a loot box, which opens to reveal a key to an S-rank dungeon called the Demon's Castle. The reward inside the castle? The ingredients for an elixir of life, which cures all illnesses, maybe even the one that incapacitates Jinwoo's mother. Jinwoo won't miss the chance to help his mother, even if it means taking on S-rank magic beasts. He doesn't wait to use the key and enters the dungeon. He's instantly surrounded by the burning ruins of a city. A three-headed magic beast appears. Its red name overhead displays Hell's Gatekeeper Cerberus. Their fight begins. Jinwoo uses all of his skills and bonuses, but barely causes any damage to the massive beast. It strikes back, removing his arm in one bite and activating an ability-doubling skill called Rage for 3 minutes. Jinwoo uses full recovery and downs a healing potion, but it's not enough to get the upper hand. He uses Kasaka's Venom Gland, an attack buff reward from the instance dungeon, realizing he'll be immune to its poison side effect. Cerberus's rage expires and Jinwoo is finally able to do some damage. Despite being trapped in its jaws and down to his last hit points, Jinwoo stabs the beast again and again, determined to survive. The beast falls. Jinwoo levels up, which heals his considerable wounds. His rewards include a key to the castle itself and the recipe for the elixir of life. The 3 components await inside the Demon King's castle. Jinwoo promises he'll be back to claim them. This is frustrating. Sung Jinwoo watches over his mother in the hospital, suffering from eternal sleep disease. Determined to heal her, he plans to get stronger before attacking the Demon Castle for the ingredients for the elixir of life. The next day at Cafe Penne, he agrees to join Yu Jinho on 19 dungeon raids, who is elated to hear, but only if they go in the gates alone. While Jinho notes that gates require 8 hunters minimum, Jinwoo tells him to hire hunters to fill the quota, similar to how Hwang Dong-suk operated. Jinho agrees, as he'll be able to impress his father by clearing the gates with 0 injuries or deaths. After her training at a track field, Hae-in senses a man watching her during her break. After being called out, he approaches, introducing himself as Yu Byung-gil from Yujin Construction, and hands her his business card. They talk about the company's plan to establish the Yujin Guild, considering her for the role of guildmaster. In a tense car ride, Jin-ho listens anxiously as his father, Yu Myung-han, discusses how dungeons have completely reshaped business since they appeared 10 years ago. He mentions how the 5 major guilds in their country are rich and have all the power, emphasizing the need to form their own guild to stay competitive, especially given their reliance on dungeon materials. Their plan is to have Jin-ho's brother, Yu Jin-sung, lead as vice guildmaster under an S-rank hunter, leaving Jin-ho out of the equation. This makes Jin-ho tense and worry about the risks of his own potential, feeling sidelined. After completing his daily quest, Jin-woo discovers he can't overclock the requirements to get a key for the demon castle as he did before, ending up with a worthless bingo card instead. Now at level 26 and wandering the city, he considers hunting the giant centipedes he faced in the penalty zone for experience. However, he quickly diminishes the idea, doubting his strength and if they do have rewards. Just then, a notification pops up from the Hunters Association, calling hunters for an urgent D-rank dungeon. He considers declining as it won't be alone, but eventually says it's better than nothing. At Song Chi-yul's dojo, amidst training with his students, Chi-yul receives a notification for the urgent raid. Addressing a student's concern about how he should consider retirement, Chi-yul admits his age and the loss of an arm, but expresses a strong desire to use what strength he has left to contribute to society. At his home, Kim Sang-shik watches his daughter Yoonji play with a teddy bear when he receives a notification for the urgent raid. His wife expresses deep concern, urging him to quit hunting, especially after the harrowing double dungeon incident. However, Kim, holding Yoonji close, insists on going, highlighting the financial strain their family faces, with Yoonji starting kindergarten and their older daughter Yeonha about to start middle school. He slowly convinces his wife as his daughter asks if he is strong, which he says, "You bet he is." At the Hunters Guild headquarters, Guildmaster of the White Tiger Guild, Baek Yoon-ho, was invited by Choi Jong-in, the Guildmaster of the Hunters Guild. Baek expresses his annoyance about being put on a morning show interview, a segment he felt was more suited for Choi. Despite Baek's frustration, Choi maintains his cool and steers the conversation towards the newly forming Yujin Guild. They quickly realize that they both know about it and the potential threat it poses in terms of poaching their hunters. Yet, Baek, known for his impatience, cuts straight to the chase, pressing Choi to reveal the real reason behind their meeting. Lee Joo-hee finds herself in a tense conversation with her mother over the phone, offering only minimal responses. When her mother suggests she quit and return home, Joo-hee loses her patience, sharply telling her mother to stop controlling her life before abruptly ending the call. Wrapped in the solitude of her bed, she's haunted by doubts about her place and worth. However, thoughts of Jinwoo's relentless pursuit of strength inspire her. Determined to face her own weaknesses, she resolves to persevere. Amidst these reflections, her phone buzzes with a notification for the same D-rank raid that Jinwoo, Sung, and Kim have been called to. Hae-in pays a visit to Choi's office, arriving just as Baek is leaving. They exchange respectful bows, acknowledging each other's status as S-ranks. Inside, Hae-in shares with Choi that Yujin Construction approached her with an offer to become their guildmaster, an offer she declined. Choi expresses his relief at her decision, grateful she chose to stay and share this information with him. Curious, Hae-in inquires about President Baek's visit. Later, as Baek reflects over a drink, he revisits the afternoon's encounter with Choi. The discussion took a serious turn when Choi revealed his plan to reconquer Jeju Island, the site of the devastating raids that resulted in significant loss of hunter lives. For the first time, Baek saw a shift in Choi's unusually composed demeanor as he spoke of the haunting memories from Jeju. Choi's determination to reclaim the island was evident, emphasizing the need for Baek, along with the other guilds, to grow stronger, recruit more, and to sway public opinion in favor of their cause. Baek's thoughts linger on the island and the loss of Yoon-suk, a comrade who died there. In the early morning light, Jinwoo sets off for the urgent D-rank raid, with his sister Sung Jin-ah bidding him farewell. She comments on how much he's been working lately, noting a significant change from the days where he'd returned from every raid injured. She's surprised to see him leave without any sort of gear and tries to stop him, but he leaves saying he'll be fine. Meanwhile, Song heads to the same raid, pondering the curious twist of fate that despite his lifelong training as a swordsman, his awakening as a mage rendered his sword skills useless. However, he's sure that there was a reason for it. During the walk, Song catches sight of Jinwoo and can't help but be taken aback by how much he's changed. The once gentle-looking boy seems to have transformed. As they reconnect, Song is surprised to see Jinwoo's leg, which has been severed during their last encounter in the incident, now fully reattached thanks to the system. As they reach the gate, Song is taken aback by the remarkable coincidence of reuniting with fellow survivors from their traumatic experience at the Double Dungeon: Kim Sang-shik, Kang Jong-ho, and Lee Joo-hee. The atmosphere becomes tense as Kim and Jong-ho, burdened by these memories of abandoning Jinwoo, avoid eye contact, signaling their deep-seated guilt and remorse. Amidst this uneasy reunion, Juhi stands out with her unmistakable joy, finding solace in this first face-to-face meeting since their shared ordeal. This unexpected reunion is abruptly interrupted by the arrival of the rest of their strike team, which includes 3 C-rank hunters in handcuffs. These hunters, convicted criminals, are part of a substitute hunter program that allows them to participate in raids as a means to lessen their prison sentences. Overseeing them is Kang Taishik, a B-rank hunter from the Hunters Association, tasked with ensuring they stay in line during the raid. Due to the urgency and lack of hunters, the association is forced to use this method. You've been hiding your skills. In the cave depths of the D-rank dungeon, Jinwoo reunites with his former strike team from the double dungeon incident, Mr. Song, Juhi, Jongho, and Kim Sang-shik. Tensions persist with Kim, whom Jinwoo resents for leaving him behind in the Cardanon Temple, and while Kim feels remorse, he struggles with the idea of apologizing. Goblins are mercilessly vanquished by the prisoner hunters who are loving it, overseen by their Hunter Association escort, Kang Taishik. After the battle, Song comments on how Jinwoo has really gotten stronger and how he has a nice new dagger now. Juhi notes Jinwoo's rare lack of injuries and hopes they won't need her heals, but he reassures her, saying that he still counts on her. Song, sensing a deep change in Jinwoo, notes the transformation goes beyond physical, visible in his unique aura. Juhi questions whether he started practicing martial arts, but he conceals the true extent of his abilities, saying it's because of daily exercises. Kang, growing impatient, urges the group to proceed. At a dungeon fork with 3 paths, Taishik proposes splitting up to speed up their quest, given the ease of their encounters so far. The team agrees, and Jinwoo, leveraging his high perception, identifies the boss's location and opts for the left path with Song and Juhi. Taishik takes his prisoners down the right path, leaving Kim and Jongho in the middle. As they diverge, Taishik casts a thoughtful glance at Jinwoo, curiously who notices. Kim and Jongho effortlessly dispatch the goblins they meet, Kim decapitating the last one in a swift slice. Kim comments that with the weakest hunter present, the dungeon must be low risk, but Jongho counters, noting Jinwoo's presence at the catastrophic double dungeon event. Considering Jinwoo's pivotal role for their survival that day, Kim finally decides to apologize for abandoning him after this dungeon, as it's been eating him up. Jongho questions the likelihood of forgiveness, but Kim is determined to apologize regardless. As the convicted hunters ruthlessly dispatch the goblins, Taishik observes them casually with his hands in his pockets as they kick a severed head at his feet. Taishik provocatively questions the prisoners about their ability to kill humans as easily as they did goblins, to which they agree, saying that it's all the same to them. Taishik remembers a secret encounter in a dimly lit room where a distraught father details how these same 3 hunters had assaulted his daughter, leading to her tragic suicide and his wife's hospitalization due to their shock. The father presents Taishik with 3 billion won, or $2.4 million to assassinate the prisoners, criticizing the justice system that would eventually set them free through reduced sentences from raid participation. In the dungeon, Taishik coldly concocts a plan to deceive the inspectors, alleging a 100 goblin swarm overpowered them as he turns on the prisoners. Just then, Kim and Kang witness the B-rank hunter decapitating the final convict. Unfazed by their arrival, Taishik approaches them with a menacing demeanor as he says he has to alter his plan. In the left tunnel, Jinwoo recalls that Taishik Kang was one of the Hunter Association's investigators who placed him in the hospital. Just then, he hears a scream echo through the dungeon. His group races to find the other hunters sliced to pieces, including Kim and Kang. Kim, barely alive, struggles to breathe. Juhi can only heal him enough to let him speak. An emotional Jinwoo yells at Kim that he has to survive so he can keep blaming him for what happened that day in the double dungeon. Kim chokes out that he's sorry and that he regrets that he can't offer a proper apology. He takes his last breath. Taishik uses the opportunity to strike at Juhi from the shadows, but Jinwoo grabs his arm midair. Taishik tells these shocked hunters that he plans to fabricate a story about the prisoners killing them. Song asks Jinwoo to stand back up and picks up Kim's sword to defend his friends. Song parries Taishik's first strike. As an assassin-type hunter, the B-rank Taishik is fast and agile. The cruel hunter gives credit where it's due and remarks that Song is skilled with a sword. Taishik lands a hit which Juhi immediately heals, putting herself on his radar. He turns his back on Song to go after her, but Song won't let him. Taishik launches another attack on Song, slicing him again and again, and Juhi is too upset to use her healing abilities. As Taishik approaches him for the final blow, Song springs his trap and unleashes his fire magic, engulfing the other hunters in flames. Taishik, slightly singed, dodges the attack with a sly smile and gives the old hunter credit for this strategy. He raises his dagger to finish him off, and Jinwoo blocks it to Song and Juhi's surprise. Taishik gives Jinwoo his full attention. There's no way that Jinwoo is an E rank with those reaction times. Jinwoo isn't a false ranker, he surmises, since he's obviously been on raids with Song and Juhi before and allowed them to live. It must be a second awakening. It doesn't matter, Taishik concludes, as Jinwoo's lack of hunting experience puts him at a disadvantage. Before their fight begins, Jinwoo asks why he killed and tortured the others. It wasn't about a misplaced sense of justice nor the money. It was because the maniacal Taishik finds people much more fun to kill than magic beasts. Taishik grins wickedly and attacks. His bloodthirst triggers a system message with the same quest Jinwoo received when the malicious group of hunters turned against him. Jinwoo activates his speed buff and slices Taishik's cheek with his poison blade. They both strike in a flurry of blades until the assassin vanishes into thin air. He's invisible to Jinwoo, who barely blocks Taishik's attacks. This is his secret stealth ability, known to only a few high-ranking assassin hunters. He slices Jinwoo's ankle to immobilize him. Jinwoo uses full recovery to instantly mend the wound. Taishik is shaken for the first time. He's never heard of a combat hunter who can also use healing magic. When he recognizes Jinwoo as a fellow killer, Song and Juhee gasp. Song realizes that Jinwoo has had to make a lot of hard decisions in a short amount of time. Jinwoo activates his murderous intent skill, blinding Taishik long enough to pierce him through the heart. As he dies, Jinwoo reveals to him that he gets stronger with every battle. Taishik warns him to be careful of the darkness that will follow. He dies, and the system rewards Jinwoo with the stealth skill. Juhee and Kim leave the dungeon while Jinwoo finishes the boss. Investigator Woo Jinchul arrives, blaming himself for not seeing his subordinate Taishik's true nature. He gasps as he recognizes Jinwoo from the hospital. Woo asks which of the 3 hunters defeated Taishik. Just as Jinwoo resigns himself to his secret getting out, Song claims responsibility. Considering that Song is a C-rank magic user who had the help of a B-rank healer, Juhee, the Hunters Association investigator seemingly accepts the explanation. Jinwoo keeps a wary eye on Woo, noticing that he's an A-rank hunter. Song smiles and tells Jinwoo he owed him one, and he returns the smile. The man who hired Taishik is arrested a few hours later, wrapping up the incident. Juhee and Jinwoo finally relax in a nearby park. She pulls an essence stone out of her bag and asks him, "Do you remember this?" "What is this, a picnic?" After completing another eventful raid, Jinwoo and Lee Juhee take the opportunity to catch up during a leisurely walk through a serene park. Juhee, a B-rank healer, confesses her belief that her timidity might not be suited for the life of a hunter anymore. However, she expresses gratitude for the lower-ranking raids that led her to meeting Jinwoo, admiring the unwavering determination in his eyes despite the numerous injuries she had to heal. Juhee returns the E-rank essence stone Jinwoo gave her the last time they met each other, revealing she never sold it. She decides to retire as a hunter and return home, and expresses her hope to see Jinwoo again soon, parting with a smile. Alone, Jinwoo thinks back to a warning Woo Jinchul gave him after the raid, concerning his previous dungeon incident. Woo mentioned that S-rank hunter Hwang Dong-soo might want revenge for his brother's death. He suggested Jinwoo and Jin-ho, the raid's other survivors, should be cautious, or even consider leaving the country because the law is powerless to deal with S-ranks. Jinwoo sees this as another reason to grow stronger, understanding that he wouldn't stand a chance at his current level. Later, Jinwoo and Jin-ho meet with their unique strike team of lower-ranked hunters at a glowing C-rank dungeon gate. Jin-ho picked 6 hunters with various reasons preventing them from working regularly, including injuries, lack of experience, or personal issues like alcoholism, meeting the required 8-hunter minimum for a C-rank gate. Among them was Han Song-yi, a minor allowed to participate due to her awakened status, despite skipping school at the time. She's also a friend of Jinwoo's sister, though Jinwoo is unaware of this at the time. Song-yi takes offense at being referred to as a kid by Jinwoo, but he quickly reminds her of her place, pointing out her E-rank status and lack of raid experience. Jinwoo announces to the team that only he and Jin-ho will enter the dungeon, causing some skepticism among the other hunters, given the lucrative offer of 3 million won per raid just to show up. As Jin-ho explains the contract details, including the non-disclosure agreement, Jinwoo redeems the stealth skill he acquired from a runestone after defeating Kang Taishik. The duo then proceeds into the C-rank gate alone after Jinwoo forces Jin-ho to take off the ridiculous set of high-rank armor he was wearing. However, he was allowed to wear the helmet at least. The rest of the strike team, skeptical and somewhat dismissive after receiving their payment, waits outside as told. Their astonishment is clear when Jinwoo and Jin-ho reappear only an hour later. The team's initial thought was that they had fled, but it turns out the pair managed to clear the dungeon quicker than the usual 2 hours taken by an average strike team for a C-rank gate. Motivated by their swift success, they plan to proceed to the next gate, aiming to tackle 3 dungeons a day, leaving their teammates in awe. In the following dungeon, Jinwoo swiftly defeats a group of goblins while Jin-ho collects all the mana crystals close by. Jinwoo defeats the hobgoblin boss in one decapitating slash. As days go by, they continuously clear dungeons filled with magic beasts and gather resources. Jinwoo's power increases with each boss he defeats, his skills leveling up with him. Jinho witnesses the stealth skill in full effect and is taken aback by its effectiveness and Jinwoo's significant growth in strength. Jinwoo successfully clears dungeons inhabited by snakes, scorpions, and werewolves, eventually becoming level 40. He levels his dash skill for the first time and gains new abilities, advanced dagger wielding and fatal strike. Recognizing the need for more mana to use these skills, as he's been dependent on mana potions from the system shop, he plans to boost his intelligence. Not feeling quite prepared to tackle the Demon King's castle, Jinwoo assesses his power as somewhere between B rank and A rank, using A rank hunter Wu Jinchul as a benchmark. Then, a system alert informs him that he's eligible for the job change quest. At the White Tiger Guild headquarters, news of Jinho spending a huge sum of 150 million won on rights to C-rank gates catches the eye of manager An Sang-min and his assistant Hyun Ki-chul. An remembers Sung Jinwoo's name from the infamous double dungeon incident and is immediately intrigued. Considering Jinwoo's narrow escapes from 3 dangerous situations, the double dungeon, Hwang Dan-suk's strike team, and Kang Taishik's attack, An suspects that Jinwoo may have gone through a second awakening. Eager to learn more, An decides to investigate at one of the gates personally. An and Ki-chul reach the C-rank gate entrance and are surprised to see a group of mismatched hunters lounging outside, similar to a picnic. Han Sung-yi comes over and informs them that the area is restricted and are surprised that she's a hunter too. Han deduces that Jinwoo is tackling the dungeon solo, which further fuels his resolve to recruit him, as he would be a major find for them. The two decide to leave, but stop to discreetly listen in as Jinho and Jinwoo exit the gate. Jinwoo requests a day off to tackle the job quest, prompting Jinho to delay their upcoming gate reservations before they head to the next gate of the day. Elsewhere, Guildmaster Choi Jong-in is tormented by visions of his fellow hunters consumed by fire, with a gigantic ant looming over him as he kneels helplessly. A bloodied hunter with a missing arm reaches out for him only to be decimated, shocking Choi awake. Realizing it's just a recurring nightmare of the failed Jeju Island raid, he's jolted back to reality in his desk chair in the Hunters Guild headquarters. Clutching the reconnaissance mission plans for the island, Choi steels himself, knowing the time to act is close at hand. At day's end, Jinwoo bids farewell to his strike team before being approached by An and Ki-chul, who aim to recruit him for the White Tiger Guild. Over coffee, An boasts about their prestige as one of the best guilds in Korea and offers Jinwoo double what Yujin Construction promised. However, Jinwoo's deal is worth 30 billion won. Caught off guard and unprepared, An mentions needing approval for such a sum. Jinwoo, showing his Yujin contract, gets ready to leave but stops to confront An about prying into him, his tone sharp and warning as he places a hand on An's shoulder. An turns to face him, but Jinwoo has vanished, and An realizes it's the stealth skill and that's why he's so valuable. After feeling a cut on his cheek, An clarifies that he was looking into the C-rank gate issue, not Jinwoo himself, and vows to keep Jinwoo's skills a secret while apologizing for the intrusion. Jinwoo reappears, apologizes for taking all the gates, and offers to sell 3 for 300 million won each. Despite the shock, An sees the need for these gates to train his guild's new members. Eventually, he agrees to buy the 3 gates for a total of 600 million won. Jinwoo instructs An to open his mouth and shut his eyes, then administers a health potion that immediately heals the cut. As Jinwoo departs, An muses that Jinwoo might be an even bigger deal than he initially thought. The next day, the White Tiger Guild realizes they've been duped. Other C-rank gates were available on the market in their jurisdiction, priced at 70 million cheaper than what he paid Jinwoo. A text from Jinwoo then arrives, suggesting they're square, hinting at this being retribution for spying on him. Though outmaneuvered, An finds solace in now having Jinwoo's contact information. Finally, Jinwoo cruises down the highway in a red truck, windows rolled down, eagerly anticipating the start of his new job change quest. A knight who defends an empty throne? As dusk falls, Sung Jinwoo retreats into the solitude of the woods, wary of the consequences that might arise from summoning the Instance Dungeon. He reflects on his past experiences with other Instance Dungeons before deciding to proceed with the job change request. Abruptly, a vast purple void gate alive with lightning appears before him. On the brink of entry, Jinwoo remembers he forgot to do his daily quest but decides he can wait until after. Deep inside the shadowy corridors of the dungeon, a knight stands silently in wait. In an elegant dining room, Yoo Myung-han, the chairman of Yujin Construction, leisurely swirls his wine glass while his son, Yoo Jin-ho, sits across the table, filled with nerves. As Myung-han savors a sip of wine, a polite knock interrupts, heralding the entrance of Yoo Jin-sung, the older brother who offers apologies for his delay. However, his father reassures him, stating that he's arrived precisely on time. Jin-sung exchanges pleasantries with Jin-ho, remarking on the length of time since their last meeting as Jin-ho meets his gaze with a sense of defeat. Back in the dungeon, Jinwoo navigates a corridor and everything appears unexpectedly normal until he receives a notification informing him that in this area, the use of potions, full recovery, and access to the store are prohibited, meaning he won't be able to recover his stats upon leveling up or leave until the quest is completed. Metallic thuds grow louder in the distance, prompting Jinwoo to draw his Venom Fang. A magical beast clad in armor, a knight, rushes toward him with a sword. Jinwoo attacks first with a swift slice, but it has no effect. Taken aback, he faces another charge from the knight and their blades clash. Using his agility, Jinwoo gains some distance and uses an active skill, Fatal Strike, aiming for a critical hit to the knight's chest, but again he fails to breach the armor. Nimble and quick, he dodges the knight's strikes, and recalling his barehanded victory over Kasaka, replicates the feat by tearing the knight in two with his sheer strength. The knight's helmet clatters to the ground, its body emitting smoke as it falls defeated, and Jinwoo gains a level. Regretting his wasted Fatal Strike, Jinwoo braces for another fight as more knights advance toward him. During the tense family dinner, Jinho's meal remains untouched as his father attempts to ease the atmosphere, inquiring about Jinsung's progress with forming the Yujin Guild and their struggles to recruit an S-rank member. Jinsung reveals their attempts to enlist Hae-in and Min Byung-gyu were unsuccessful, leading him to seek an S-ranker from Europe and the Middle East, reminiscent of Hwang Dong-su's situation. Suddenly, he addresses Jinho's C-rank dungeon escapades and his ambitions, warning him not to go against his own guild plans. Jinho stays silent amidst their father's gaze, yet internally reassures himself of his secret advantage, Jinwoo. In the thick of battle, Jinwoo tirelessly combats foe after another using nothing but his physical prowess. However, he quickly realizes that even his stamina has its limits. Just as he considers a brief rest, he senses a stealth attack. Narrowly evading this, he takes out a stealthed assassin and swiftly dodges a blast from a mage. This onslaught of enemies reminds Jinwoo of past confrontations and the specific strategies needed to overcome each type. As the relentless assault wears him down, Jinwoo acknowledges the need to enhance his intellect attribute to effectively counter mages, and wishes to conserve his own skills, all while battling growing fatigue. At the Hunters Guild, guild leader Choi Jong-in gets ready to board a helicopter with Hae-in and other high-ranking hunters. They're going on an exploratory mission to Jeju Island, the site of the failed raid years ago. Choi is determined to return one day to finish the fight. Jinwoo finally finishes off the last of his enemies and finds a B-rank chestplate on one of the corpses. He equips all of the armor in his inventory for the first time, and he's delighted to see, or not see, that the pieces are invisible. With new equipment and his fatigue recovered, he's as ready as he can be for the next stage. He pushes open a massive door and a gust of wind greets him. When Jinwoo sees his opponent, he can't help but be reminded of the mysterious double dungeon. Knight Commander Igris the Bloodred, a foe clad in plate armor as bright red as his overhead name, stands in front of an empty throne. Jinwoo is intimidated by his mere presence. Igris raises his sword and launches himself toward the hunter with lightning speed. Stone pillars crumble with a swing of his blade. Jinwoo does everything he can to defend himself, but it's clear that he's outmatched. He puts away his dagger, which can't even pierce Igris's armor, and his enemy sets down his own weapons to keep the fight fair. Meanwhile, at the Hunters Association, Woo Jinchul enters Chairman Go's office for a chat. Choi calls to thank Go before they leave for Jeju Island. Go credits him with keeping the island in the public eye to gain support for the mission. Back in the throne room, Igris grabs Jinwoo and throws him into the ground in the blink of an eye. The hunter barely blocks the following barrage of punches and survives the onslaught thanks to the armor he equipped. Jinwoo activates his dash skill and attacks, but he still can't catch Igris the Bloodred. Igris easily throws him around the throne room. Jinwoo counterattacks, finally landing a solid kick to Igris's throat. Enraged, Igris increases his attacks, landing another blitz of punches and kicks before finally tossing Jinwoo into the wall above the throne. Jinwoo lands on the seat, incapacitated and struggling to breathe. Igris approaches with deadly intent. Jinwoo slumps over the arm of the throne. Igris calls his sword to hand for the final strike. Jinwoo catches the blade in his hand and yells he's not finished. He calls his own weapon, which he manages to stab into Igris's eye. He recalls the dagger again and impales Igris through the throat with all the power he can muster. Igris falls. A system message notifies Jinwoo that the enemy is defeated. Jinwoo considers his victory a fluke since he was clearly outmatched as he looks at his rewards, which include the S-rank helmet Igris was wearing, a rune stone for the skill Ruler's Hand, and a teleportation stone for the next round of battle. Jinwoo is shocked to discover that he must make it through even more relentless waves of enemies. The longer he lasts, the more advancement points he gains to spend on a higher class. Just as Jinwoo reaches his limit, however, an enemy knocks the teleportation stone from his hands. Knights surround Jinwoo as the climax of the quest comes near. Arise. Jinwoo finds himself thrown across the throne room and hitting a pillar hard. Surrounded by endless nights and without his teleportation stone, he's desperate and pushed to his physical limits. With no mana left for his skills and his fatigue peaking, Jinwoo fights back with everything he has, using just his bare hands. Running out of stamina, covered in sweat and his hands cut and bloodied, he doesn't give up. Night after night is felled, but they just keep coming. Haunted by memories of being called the weakest hunter of all mankind, Jinwoo hears the mocking words of his past comrades, Kim Sang-shik and Park Byum-shik, as if they were right there with him. Confused for a moment as he looks for them, a sword slash and a hammer strike knocks him to his knees. A familiar voice and a hand touches his back. It's Song Chi-yul telling him, "You don't need to keep forcing yourself." Lee Ju-hee also appears before him, telling him it would be better to just give up. Then a chilling voice, "You're getting what you deserve," freezes him in place from behind him. It's his own voice from the past, echoing the doubts and fears of time when he was the weakest hunter. This haunting vision of his former self confronts him, criticizing his efforts and urging him to accept that he's reached his limit. With a sinister smile, the apparition suggests that it's time for Jinwoo to surrender to fate and give up, challenging his resolve and tempting him to end his struggle. In the chairman's office of the Korean Hunters Association, Go Gun-hee and Woo Jin-chul reflect on the tragic events of the third Jeju Island raid. On his table are the plans for the fourth. Go, with a sense of regret, acknowledges that his physical condition prevented him from participating in the raid, while Woo confirms he was part of the operation, handling perimeter security and communications. "So many lost their lives," Go remarks solemnly, "and those who survived still bear the mental scars." He acknowledges the deep psychological impact all hunters experience and emphasizes the need for them to confront and overcome these traumas, or destruction will be all that awaits. Back in the dungeon, Jinwoo is haunted by his past self, who taunts him, dismissing his physical changes, insisting that deep down he remains as weak as ever. "E-rank hunter, that's all you'll ever be," the apparition sneers, labeling him a dreamer out of touch with reality. As Jinwoo is overpowered once more, his defiance flares. "Shut up," he retorts, but his comeback is cut short as he collides with another knight, forcefully smashing his face into the ground. Through his fading consciousness, Jinwoo hears the mocking echo of his past self, belittling his desperate efforts. Still not good enough. As a knight looms over him, ready to deliver the final blow, Jinwoo is struck by deja vu of his harrowing experience in the double dungeon. This moment, teetering on the edge of life and death, mirrors his trials at the Kartanon Temple and how the system saved his life. And it was about to do it again. As Jinwoo faces what seems to be his final moment, his past self cryptically remarks, "It seems they don't want you to die just yet," before fading away with a promise to return. Until next time then. Suddenly, as the daily quest he forgot to complete expires and his execution appears imminent, Jinwoo finds himself transported to the penalty zone. He appears in a vast desert under a blazing sun, surrounded by red clouds and endless sand. Licking his wounds and pondering his fate, Jinwoo questions whether luck or the system itself intervened to save him. Choosing not to dwell on it, Jinwoo accesses the store and is able to purchase mana potions, restoring his fatigue, which has skyrocketed past 90 for the first time. While the potions alleviate his fatigue, he realizes that health potions can't heal him due to his serious injuries. Contemplating whether to recover naturally or through leveling up, he's abruptly confronted by 6 enormous desert centipedes bursting from the sand. These foes, though formidable, no longer pose the threat they once did at his current level. Revitalized yet teetering on the brink, Jinwoo confronts the colossal centipedes with renewed resolve. He recalls the ominous farewell of his past self, until next time, and sets a firm resolve to grow stronger and face that part of him again. With each dash and strike against the formidable beasts, Jinwoo embraces the pain, allowing it to forge him into a mightier version of himself, determined that as long as it doesn't kill me, any pain I go through is only going to make me stronger. In a fierce display of power, Jinwoo vanquishes a few of the giant centipedes, their bodies soaring through the air as he prepares to finish the rest with a blood-curdling battle cry. Back in the tranquility of Jinwoo's apartment, his sister Jin-ah is momentarily stirred from her slumber by a vague, unsettling dream. After using the bathroom, she notices the dinner she prepared for Jinwoo still untouched on the table and wonders where he is at this late hour. This leads her to ponder whether he's still working late or, amusingly, if he might have a girlfriend, a notion she quickly dismisses with a chuckle. Snuggling back into her bed, Jin-ah harbors a simple wish, for her brother to return in time for the upcoming guardian-teacher meeting at her school that day. Back in the penalty zone, Jinwoo defeats dozens of centipedes, leveling up and restoring himself to full health. He has a moment to look for a new weapon to purchase and finds a dagger, Night Killer, that has a damage bonus to armor. Jinwoo also redeems his ability reward from fighting Igris the Blood Red, Ruler's Hand, which is similar to telekinesis. He's ready to return to the fray. Choi Jong-in and his team of hunters approach the airspace of Jeju Island. The pilot detects mana from the water below, much to the team's surprise. With the penalty quest over and Jinwoo all healed up, the hunter is teleported back to the throne room where the knights have increased tenfold. He begins his onslaught against them and realizes he never levels up while fighting them. This leads him to the conclusion that these knights were merely summoned monsters, and the mages were the true monsters that he had to finish off. He quickly finds a mage and uses his new skill Dagger Toss to kill it, causing the knights that were summoned by it to crumble. Jinwoo makes quick work of the 3 mages, and the remaining 3 summon a massive golem. He finishes off the magic users and destroys the golem. Jinwoo catches his breath as a system notification appears, informing him that he lasted 4.5 hours. The job change quest is complete. The system determines that based on his performance and solo fighting style, the most suitable job for Jinwoo is Necromancer, which has the ability to call forth a shadow army. Aghast at the idea of becoming a magic user when he's been fighting as an assassin type, Jinwoo's first instinct is to refuse the job change. However, the system warns him that the Necromancer is a hidden class and asks him to confirm his refusal. Jinwoo paces the throne room, considering. He realizes the magic users he just defeated were using a similar type of ability. He wouldn't be solo leveling any longer, which is a big advantage. Jinwoo accepts the job change to Necromancer, but the system isn't finished yet. Back at the Hunters Association, Go and Woo wait for word from the Jeju Island mission as day breaks. Notifications pop up one after another in front of Jinwoo. Because he lasted so long through the final stage and defeated all enemies, the Necromancer class has been upgraded to Shadow Monarch. To extract a shadow and claim it for his army, Jinwoo must speak the command word he chose, Arise. He calls forth 30 Shadow Soldiers, the maximum number allowed for the skill at the current level. Shadow extraction can fail, however, depending on the target's strength and the time it was defeated. Jinwoo realizes there's another enemy nearby he can try to add to his army's ranks, Igris the Blood Red. Jinwoo commands the Knight Commander to rise and fails twice. Only one attempt remains. Jinwoo makes an impassioned speech for Igris to join him and fight for someone instead of guarding an empty throne. The Knight Commander rises. As Chairman Go watches the sun rise, he tells Woo that he dreams of a new hunter awakening, someone who defies the expectations and becomes a guiding light for humanity's fight. Jinwoo names Igris the Blood Red to simply Igris. Igris joins the ranks of the Shadow Army and they kneel before Jinwoo. The helicopter has landed on Jeju Island. Choi gasps as he looks at the magic beast that he and his hunters defeated. The gigantic ants they faced 3 years ago have evolved and now bear wings. And that is the complete solo leveling recap. For now. There's more on the way, as I'm sure you know. So make sure you like this video, subscribe, and ring that bell to be notified when we can update you. Let us know down in the comments who your favorite hunter is. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.